Soybean farmer. It's Tuesday morning. Yesterday afternoon, Monday afternoon, about 6 o'clock, I was working on putting this back together. And the next step was right behind here. Let's see if I can open that. You've got these three hydraulic lines, and right about here, there's a brace that bolts in up here on a bracket that comes back and catches a brace on the radiator. And about midpoint of that brace, there's a brace that bolts into that catches this hydraulic line, and this hydraulic line. And I took the thing apart over a week ago and did not do a very good job of documenting how it came apart. And I wasted about an hour trying to figure out how to put that brace back on there. And finally got frustrated with it. I knew cousin was home. I'd heard him come in, so I called him and asked him if he remembered how it went in there, and he said, "I'll be over there in a minute." And he came over, and we fiddled with it, and then he saw it, how one piece went behind another piece and was kind of sandwiched in between two pieces, and got it back in there like it's supposed to be. Real important, because hydraulic lines will take a surge and they need to be braced or they'll tear themselves apart. Cousin stuck around, was helping me put stuff back together, and we got ready to stick this alternator on. And I went up there where I had the alternator laying and grabbed the alternator and the tensioning bracket. And as I was walking back down here towards the tractor, it hit me. That tensioning bracket had to go behind one of the top bolt on the water pump, and I had failed to put it in there. And I just kind of like had one of those moments of, oh no, I don't think that bolt will come completely out because of the pulley is back on and the fan is back on. And of course, cousin, he said, well, calm down, wait a minute, give me a wrench, let's see if it'll come out. And sure enough, he got the bolt to ease up past the pulley, and we stuck the bracket in there and got the bolt retorqued in place. Stuck the alternator on it, and before that, went in, cousin was all over this Cowan, getting it back on in the pieces. He likes to get in and help, and I'm delighted to have him over here. But this was right funny. That bolt right there has never been in here until last night, and one just like it on the other side. The Cowan was sitting here. They were never there. I've only had this thing off once when I replaced that radiator. There were no bolts there then, so I didn't know. I figured this piece right here with its bolts, the way it overlapped slightly, that's how it held it down. So cousin, he had a 40-20 for a long time, and he all over his stuff, knows his stuff. He said, "Give me the bolt for that." I said, "There ain't no bolt." He just looked at me like, "It's supposed to be a bolt." And then he went into showing me how it all went together, and I said, "Okay, let me see what I can find." I got lots of nuts and bolts in the nuts and bolts pile. So God provided and found two bolts, and we got that bolted in. But I'm delighted with the way cousin went to beating on this with the rubber mallet and got the lines to line back up. And both of the screens, you just saw me pull that screen out and tap it and knock it right back in. They go in better than I've ever had. So anyhow, I ran over to the grocery store and bought 7 gallons of distilled water. I'm a firm believer, do not put well water, tap water, city water in a radiator. All that water's got minerals in it. Distilled water is pure, there's no minerals in it. So I went to pouring water in the radiator, and sure enough, I had forgot to close the drain valve, and it started running out. I said, oh, okay, good. And I went down there and closed that, and took about 3.9 gallons of distilled water to fill it up to the top. And I said, all right, moment of truth, let's see what happens. And I cranked it. Well, it was dark, and I had my flashlight, and I was looking all these little pipe fittings and all around the water pump and looking, and I let this thing run about 40 minutes. Funny thing about this tractor, if you don't get it under a load, it just don't get hot. And sitting here running, it never got hot enough to actually start swirling the water between the block and the radiator. I cut it off 2 or 3 times and stuck my hand in here and started feeling on the radiator to see if I had hot water. It's slightly warm, but not hot. So I let it run some more and kept watching for leaks, and praise God, all the places that I had it taken apart that it could have had a leak, it didn't. It was dry. And I was sitting out here listening to how good this thing sounded. Probably I was missing the vibration I was used to right here, since there's these bolts in here. And probably that water pump was making some noise. And then that fan was not hitting that shroud. So I was enjoying all of that. And it was dark, and I decided I'd turn my lights on. You know, my LED lights that light up the night, turn the night into day.